Oh, well, good morning everybody. Oh, early morning run. Even got the dog out with me, and I got Bobby up behind me on the bike. I got loads to get done today, but I just wanted to get out here and see if I could get half an hour to an hour's running, keep my body moving for the day, you know. Anyway, loads of practice to do today, loads of editing to get done. Good morning. We're going to do a few miles this morning, get the dog back, and then get to the practice ground. So as you can see, I have been doing a little bit of, well, short game practice, a little bit of chipping, trying to hit my target. And something has jumped out to me, which I want you to think about this as well. Let me just go and pick these balls up and then I'll bring them back and then we'll talk it a little bit more. So one of the things that's kind of jumped out to me, certainly from my first psychology lesson, is that we've got these key words that I think can, well, they're there to kind of guide us, but actually these words are things like must, can't, and should, things like that. And there's more words that we'll get into as we kind of go on through this series. But when it comes to the game of golf, there are so many rules and regulations, not just obviously with the game of golf. And if you think about the rule book, there's these things like must, you must take a drop and things like that. These are all giving you options as to what you should and shouldn't do. Well, that book kind of stops on the golf course. And there's another book that kind of comes into it, and it's something that I've kind of grown up with in my whole life, which is there's a massive rule book as you walk into any golf club. Those rule books are starting to come down now, which is fantastic. So there's rules like you must wear this, and you must do this, and you must speak to... And these are all things that I've had since I was a really young kid, and these are all situations that are popping out, certainly in my first psychology session. You create these rules because they protect you in certain situations, and that's what our brain is kind of all made up to be, in a protection mode sometimes. However, when it comes to the game of golf, things like you should hit this certain shot or you should do these are all things that have come to me as I've kind of grown up through having coaching and things like that. Now, when it comes to a shot that I've got here, which is what I was thinking about, was can I land my ball on that yellow ball, and can I then land my next shot on the next ball? And I've got a little bit frustrated up here because I've been trying to hit and land it on those points for the last probably 45 minutes with real no positive result. And then I thought, right, well, instead of trying to land it to it, maybe I'll just focus on it and then see if I can get my ball to end up next to it. And the results, night and day, literally night and day. Now, I'm going to hit 3 shots and you're stood right next to that golf ball out there, and I'm going to try and see with this 56-degree wedge whether I can land it on it. That wasn't bad, actually, to be fair. That's probably the best one that I've had since I've been up at the range here today. Next one. Oh, that's going to hit you. Oh, crikey, that nearly hit you. And then the next one. Okay, a little bit shy. However, the next 3 shots, I'm going to try and see if I can get it somewhere around it by just reacting to that point as to where I am there. That took a bit of a funny kick. It's not the perfect scenario up here. But that's not bad. First 2, I mean, those are within, well, the left one is definitely inside my 100 putts per day section or area. So all in all, with that particular shot there, I'm quite happy with that. 2 of which I'm going to get, well, I'm going to pretty much hold 2 of those putts that we see here. So that one there and that one there, they're within my kind of circle of trust. This one took a little bit of a funny bounce, kicked it a bit right. So that one there, not inside my circle of trust, twice as far away. And again, if I go up to the kind of the furthest one there now, and again, I focus on just that landing point of where I want it to land, which is on the actual ball itself. That was a better one again. Hit you, sorry about that. And then the last one, again, pretty good as well, not bad. But then if I focus on just trying to get it to that point somehow, don't mind how it kind of gets there, that's stone dead, that's less than a foot away. Look at that, those 2 are absolutely stone dead. Let's try and go a little bit higher, so a bit more speed. So all 3 shots that I've hit there, absolutely stone dead, pick me up. 2 of them certainly gimmies, and then 1 after hole, which is close to my 100 putts per day type of putt. So I want to hear down in the comments, because I think that I'd like to try and get some more interaction from you guys. So down in the comments, I want you to have a little go with this, and you can do this at a driving range. It doesn't mean you have to come up to a practice ground, or even like a chipping green, whatever you feel is right for you or you've got space for. And I want to see, are you somebody that actually wants to react to a landing point to then end up at the end result? Or are you somebody that just focuses on the end result and then you figure it out subconsciously or in your kind of, in your natural instinct, how you get the ball there? I'd like to hear down there. For me, I think something's clicked today. The light bulb moment has kind of gone for me, something I've never thought about. And I feel like I'm somebody that needs to focus on end result rather than to a landing point to then finish at that end result. But we're all different, and I'd like to hear down there. Which one are you? So a bit of a scattering, wasn't it, around that 75-yard marker. Moving on to hitting a full shot now up to kind of the 150 marker with the 9-iron. I want to really dial in that 75 yards. That's going to be my kind of number that I want to focus on as a point when I'm out on the golf course to kind of hit to my comfort zone. Now, I want these shows to feel like they're a little bit more interactive because they're obviously a daily show and I'm going to be catching up with you every single day. I'd like to get some questions from you. So feel free. I do this on Instagram every now and then. I do ask the audience to kind of come up with some questions for me, generally when I'm traveling. But when we're doing these daily shows, I can sort of dive in to some of your interests, should we say, whether it's to do with the channel itself or whether it's to do with what I'm actually doing out here, who I'm going to be working with, things like that over the next sort of month, and obviously where I'm going to be going and what games of golf I'm going to be playing. But one of the questions that came up from the first one, which is it's not the first time this question's come up. I think it's come up because you saw me certainly on that first Sunday show when we were doing the announcement of what was going on with this little journey. You saw me editing, and I obviously told you about how long it takes to actually put something like a course vlog together. And some of you asked the question of, well, isn't that what Jordan does? Where's Jordan? We haven't seen Jordan. What's happening with Jordan? I get this probably every other week, to be fair. A question comes in about Jordan, and that's fair enough because you haven't seen much of him in recent times. For some of those that have been on my bus tours or coaching trips, you probably know a little bit more. But Jordan, well, he works on the Foremost contract. So obviously we've got loads of videos to do, certainly at the beginning of the year for Foremost. And he's the one that kind of helps me film them and then puts them all together as in the editing of them. Now, granted, that isn't actually a full-time job. So Jordan does other things in the background. Jordan probably didn't always want to be, let's say, an editor. It was something that he kind of fell into almost. A job came up with me. I kind of contacted him and we grew him into the editor that he is right now, and he's a fantastic editor. But his focus very much in the past sort of probably last year or so, he's always been really interested in finance, and he is on the pursuit now to looking at becoming a financial advisor. So he's going to be getting out there doing a little bit more of that and then doing a little bit of editing on the side. So I thought maybe editing or filming or being in the creation space was kind of somewhere where he wanted to spend the rest of his career. However, he's only young, and editing videos is not really the most enjoyable thing, and sometimes you can get a little bit burnt out doing it when you're doing a repeat. Same people, different golf courses, just doing videos about golf is probably over a period of time, certainly the 3 or 4 years that he worked with me, it can be a little bit boring. Hopefully that answers the question as to those of you that wanted to know what Jordan was up to. And I'm really happy for him. If that's what he wants to do, and I I've always said to him, you know, the opportunities within what we do here are always open for him if that's something he wants to head down that road. But I think, you know, I can see it in his eyes. You know, he wants to go down this avenue when it comes to finance, and I want him to succeed. I want him to progress on, and I will help him in every way I can. So that's where he's at. It doesn't mean you're not going to see him again, because I think we'll probably drag him out for a little course vlog. And you got to remember, we've got the Ryder Cup special to do this year, and I really want to do Ryder Cup special with myself and Bernie versus Dog and Jordan again, because we had a lot of fun over in France last time. We just got to find the location, and that's actually a good one. If any of you are out there that are at a Ryder Cup venue and you think this is an opportunity for us to be able to do our Ryder Cup special round there, pop it down there as well. I'd like to hear from you. In fact, just send me an email, dh@dhgolf.co.uk. I've just missed, so I've got to start again.